And certainly, I think shutting down our Canadian oil and gas sector sure doesn't help long-term growth in Canada. But right now, what Canadians are worried about is the massive increase in everything. We have a two-decade high inflation increase. And what happened is about a week and a half ago, we couldn't even get your government to admit that inflation was a problem. Then you did admit it was a problem, but you said, well, it's not Canada's problem. It's happening globally. And you basically have no solution to it. So when you're coming to our committee and you're defending your statement saying that deflation is going to be the problem, not inflation, you're not admitting that you were wrong and that it's having a major effect on Canadians. You offer no solution. You're saying, well, it's not really our problem. We're in government, but we're not going to do anything. Maybe pump 7.2 or more billion dollars into this problem. That does not give comfort to Canadians who are dealing with high gas prices, high food costs, higher housing prices.
Insulting that the day that a report comes out showing that it's going to cost an extra $1,000 for the average family to feed themselves, the government comes here today and says, well, don't worry, the stock market is up. Because frankly, the middle-class folks who are walking down grocery aisles not able to buy nutritious food because it's too expensive, they can't afford stocks right now. That was her official position. Their concern. Last week she finally acknowledged that we have inflation in Canada. But today she said, don't worry about that because the stock market has gone up. And of course, the stock market goes up whenever governments flood the economy with cash. They create asset bubbles where the very rich get much richer, but then the very poor end up having to pay more as those dollars trickle down. It's one of the reasons why trickle-down economics never works, because it never trickles down. It stays with the rich at the very top, and then the people who do all the work on the ground end up paying the bills. It's interesting, the Prime Minister was once asked, what is middle class and what is rich? He said, well, middle-class folks live off their income, whereas rich folks live off their assets. Well, the minister comes here today and says, well, things are great because those who live off their assets have watched those assets inflate in value by 20%. She even marveled at how the stock market had gone up so much, even though the economy is smaller today than it was before COVID. So you have a smaller economy, but a much larger stock market. So if the folks who own all the stocks are significantly wealthier, when the overall output of the economy is slightly down, that means there's less for everyone else. So, what we see here, again, is a government that is taking from the have-nots to give to the have-yachts. To say that he's still living in his parents' basement because he can't afford a townhouse, even though he has the same job that his mother,
Mr. Chair.
entitled.
I'm very sorry to interrupt the video clip of Mr. Poilievre, but
for the interpreters, it is very difficult, the crosstalk that happens when you interject and not allow just the finishing, at least of a sentence. So to allow the minister just to conclude her remarks.
Well, it was the question was, what is the total debt level, public and private, in Canada today? Just looking for that particular number.
And I am happy to say that on Tuesday, just a few days from now, we're going to give a full public accounting. But I am pleased also to remind the member that the savings rate of Canadians was 11% in the third quarter, up from 3.4% between 2010 and 2019.
Question for Mr. Leswick. Does he know the total debt, public and private, that exists in Canada today?
I believe that the rule is that the questions go to me here.
Is he a witness? He is a witness. I just
I'm
thought
not
he might have the number.
Witnesses do
questions can be posed to him. Okay, Nick,
yes.
Go ahead if you wish.
I apologize to the member. I don't have that number at my fingertips.
That's a pretty important number. I'm amazed that a minister of finance and a senior. with 0.3% economic growth. How could so much money buy so little?
Stephen Harper and the Conservatives added over $150 billion to the national debt with nothing to show for it. We made the decision to invest in Canadians instead, put more money in the pockets of middle class. And what did we get? 1 million Canadians lifted out of poverty.